Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of SANDCRAFT DIY parts installation. Today we're going to be installing the Maverick R CBM and Rotax shaft. First step is to remove both center console cup holders, starting with the front. We're going to remove both inner center console kick panels. With the rear section drive shaft exposed, we're going to remove the two pinch nuts from the carrier bearing slip yoke. One little tech tip I like to do is slide the shaft forward and then just set a bolt back in. And that'll help with fighting the Rotax section. We're going to start by removing the left side engine mount bolt with two 15mm. We're here on the passenger side and we're just going to remove the gold bolt that holds the mount to the frame. We're back at the transmission mount, pulling the two 15s from there. And through experience, believe you me, this one's going to be tight. So we're back here at the back of the car again, and we're going to employ our special service tools, the flat plate and a 1 1/4 inch diameter pipe. And this is actually going to be assembled in between the skid plate and the engine oil pan, because you want to disperse the pressure, because we are going to have to lift the engine up off of the engine mounts. And using just a pipe alone could end up being a costly mistake. I'm going to slide my jack plate in between the skid plate right underneath the transmission drain plug. I'm going to add my little jack extension on top of the jack. And now we lift. One of the things that I have that aids in the removal process of the factory carrier bearing is I put this ratchet strap just over the rear sway bar, right around the front of the transmission mount where it suspends the muffler. And I sort of give it a couple of cranks, a little lift on the jack, a couple of cranks, a little bit on the jack, and we should have enough room. So we aren't able to lift the mount completely out of the bracket and out of the way, so there will be a little finesse involved, but we're going to go ahead and remove the 3 motor mount bolts and then slide the whole assembly with shaft out towards the front of the vehicle. Now we're just going to pop the isolators out of the factory motor mount carrier bearing and install the isolators onto the SANDCRAFT CBM. We're going to start the installation by sliding the SANDCRAFT carrier bearing onto the Rotax shaft. So this installation, we're using the SANDCRAFT manufactured Rotax, but the assembly is still the same if you're using factory or aftermarket. There's 2 parts to this installation. One is essentially just the setup that's going to align our motor mount with the Rotax shaft bearing, and then we'll actually remove just the shaft, re-spline it to the front, and then do the permanent installation. Now I'm going to apply some thread locker to the mounting hardware, and we're going to get all 3 in position before we tighten them in sequence. Once the mount is secured to the engine case, we can actually lower the engine and transmission back down into position, because the front shaft in the chassis tunnelway will not go onto the Rotax shaft in the position that it's in. Now we're going to remove the front 2 bearing pass-through bolts and essentially move the shaft rearward enough to reconnect it to the front. And so just like that, with those 2 bolts removed, now the Rotax section is absolutely free from the vehicle, with the length enough to come forward out of the transmission and escape right past through here. So if something does happen to the spline inside of the transmission, you shatter a tube or crack a weld, it's just that quick, that simple. So just in front of the SANDCRAFT carrier bearing mount is the front half driveline that we left trapped to the middle carrier bearing. And what we're going to try and do is align the spline and slide the Rotax shaft all the way forward until we have enough clearance to stab into the transmission. We can now install all 3 engine trans mounts and tighten them down. Now we're going to slide the shaft about halfway back on the spline where there is a trapped loop. Then we can install both bolts. All right, so once you have the driveline retorqued at the pinch point, you're just left with the 2 kick panels. Drop in your top cup holders. Installation's complete. Thanks for watching another SANDCRAFT DIY installation, and enjoy the ride.